Hey everyone, I'm on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love your help to get there. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and join the family.
It started with a whisper, the kind of rumor you dismiss until it hits your phone in all caps. Breaking. Kevin Stefanski resigns. The tweet hit like a thunderclap, and within minutes, Cleveland wasn't just trending, it was unraveling. What looked like another gray Monday in the NFL turned into a full-scale implosion. A two-time coach of the year, gone, not fired, but finished, by choice. And the reason? A rookie quarterback who hasn't even started a game. But this isn't just about football. This is about power, pride, and the kind of silent war that eats a franchise alive from the inside. Because what happened in Cleveland wasn't a disagreement, it was a coup. For weeks, the tension had been building like a fault line under Lake Erie. You could feel it if you listened close enough. The clipped press conferences, the awkward sideline glances, and the growing murmur around the facility that something wasn't right. On the surface, Stefanski kept up his usual calm, the stoic architect who never showed emotion. But behind those doors, the walls were closing in. Ownership had lost patience. The front office had lost faith. And the locker room? They had started whispering a different name, Shedeur Sanders. It began quietly, a few highlights leaking from practice, a receiver shaking his head in disbelief, reporters tweeting that the rookie was turning heads. But soon the whispers became roars. Teammates called his arm different. Veteran DBs admitted he was slicing up the secondary like a seasoned pro. Even the media, usually cautious in Cleveland's cursed football town, began saying it out loud. This kid is ready. And through it all, Kevin Stefanski kept repeating the same line, like a man trying to convince himself of something he no longer believed. He's not ready yet. He needs more time. But time was something he didn't have, because somewhere above his head, the gears of a power struggle had already started turning. Jimmy Haslam, the unpredictable billionaire who sees football like a chessboard of assets, had seen enough. Andrew Berry, the young, sharp GM who once worked in harmony with Stefanski, had started making calls without him. The warning signs were everywhere. Meetings without invitations, leaks to the press, and then the move that sent the entire building into chaos. Veteran quarterback Joe Flacco was suddenly traded. No discussion, no courtesy call. Stefanski found out the same way the fans did, through a notification lighting up his phone. That was the moment the line between partnership and betrayal disappeared. Imagine that for a second. You're the head coach of an NFL franchise, a man trusted to lead 53 players, and the people who sign your paycheck make a franchise-altering move without so much as a text. It wasn't just disrespect, it was a declaration. You don't matter here anymore. We've taken control. And right on cue, the second shoe dropped. Hours after Flacco's departure, Shedeur Sanders was promoted to QB2. It wasn't a coincidence, it was a coronation. A message to every player, every reporter, every fan. This is the future now, whether the coach likes it or not. From that point on, Stefanski wasn't coaching a team. He was toaching out his final days in someone else's house. Cleveland's media smelled blood. Tony Grossi, a man who's been around this team longer than most fans have been alive, went on live radio and said it out flat. This was a Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry move, not Stefanski's. Translation, the head coach had officially lost control. Every press conference after that was like watching a man talk from inside a collapsing building. His words were cautious, measured, empty. We're just taking it one day at a time. But behind the scenes, the whispers were becoming truths. That ownership wanted Shedeur on the field, that Stefanski had been given an ultimatum, start the rookie or step aside. But this wasn't just about a quarterback competition. It was a philosophical war. Stefanski's system is built on precision and control, a world of short reads, structured plays, and minimal risk. It's the kind of offense that turns average quarterbacks into steady game managers. And it worked. It won him 2 Coach of the Year awards, but it also had a ceiling. You can't script chaos. You can't plan magic. And Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion, the kid with the cannon arm and unshakable swagger, was pure, unfiltered chaos. He played like the game owed him nothing and gave it everything. He was the anti-Stefanski, and that terrified Kevin. Somewhere deep down, maybe Stefanski saw what everyone else did, that Shedeur was the future. But admitting that meant surrendering control. It meant acknowledging that his system, his identity, might no longer fit the league he'd mastered. So he doubled down. He defended Dillon Gabriel, the safe choice, the system quarterback, the one who would do exactly what he was told. And while the wins were fine, the noise outside was deafening. Fans were calling for Shedeur. Players were hinting at it in interviews. Every throw in practice became another headline. What the public didn't see was the emotional toll. Stefanski's world runs on order, preparation, repetition, predictability. But this storm was nothing he could plan for. Each day brought new chaos, new leaks, new rumors. It was like trying to hold a sandcastle together while the tide was coming in. And then came the day it all broke. Reporters caught wind that the front office had forced the promotion. The narrative shifted overnight. The coach isn't leading, he's resisting. The team isn't unified, it's fractured. Suddenly, every decision Stefanski made was seen through that lens. Stubborn, outdated, scared.
But maybe there was another side. Maybe he truly believed he was protecting the kid. History is littered with quarterbacks who were destroyed before they ever had a chance. David Carr, Tim Couch, Sam Darnold. All first-round picks, all fed to the wolves too early. Maybe Stefanski didn't want Shedeur to be next. Maybe he thought one more year, one more layer of preparation could save him from the same fate. But the problem wasn't belief. It was silence. Stefanski never explained. He spoke in riddles, vague coach speak about readiness and comfort in the playbook. It didn't sound like a plan. It sounded like a man stalling for time. And when you leave a vacuum of truth, people fill it with their own stories. Some said it was ego, that Stefanski couldn't stomach being proven wrong by ownership. Others said it was fear, that starting Shedeur meant losing control of the narrative to a player he didn't pick, whose every move would be amplified by his father's shadow. And some whispered that it was something simpler and sadder, that he just didn't like the circus that came with the Sanders name. Because Shedeur doesn't walk alone. He carries the Deion brand, the cameras, the constant spotlight. That might be intoxicating for a young franchise desperate for relevance, but for a quiet coach who built his career avoiding the limelight, it must have felt like standing next to a floodlight. By the time Stefanski's resignation hit the wire, the damage was already done. Inside the locker room, shock gave way to inevitability. Some players reportedly found out mid-workout. Others just nodded, like they'd been waiting for it. The head coach who had once been the stabilizing force in Cleveland was gone, replaced not by an interim, but by uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, one name echoed louder than all the rest: Shedeur. Through all of it, the media frenzy, the front office drama, the whispered power plays, the rookie stayed silent. No leaks, no tantrums, no public comments. He showed up, practiced, and waited. Even as cameras swarmed, even as questions about his father dominated the news cycle, he stayed professional. That silence became power. His teammates noticed. Veterans began standing closer to him during drills. Receivers volunteered extra reps. It wasn't official, but everyone could feel it. He was becoming the leader before he was ever handed the title. And maybe that's what scared Stefanski the most, because leadership isn't assigned, it's taken. And Shedeur, through nothing more than quiet work and undeniable talent, had taken something intangible from his head coach: belief. Once the locker room believes in someone else, it's over. You can't get that back. And that's exactly what happened. Stefanski didn't lose a game. He lost the room. In the end, his resignation wasn't a surrender. It was an escape. A man choosing dignity over death by 1,000 cuts. The statement was brief, sterile, almost emotionless. Due to philosophical differences, I've chosen to step away. But between those lines lived the real story. A man pushed past his limit, a system outgrown by its own creation, and a rookie quarterback now standing at the edge of destiny. Because now, the board is clear. The obstacles are gone. The power struggle is over. And the question isn't if Shedeur Sanders will start, it's when. The front office has made their bet, the fans have made theirs, the locker room has already moved on. And somewhere in the chaos, a new story is beginning. One that could either save Cleveland or finish what's left of it. It's ironic, isn't it, that the city that once watched Baker Mayfield ignite hope only to fade now looks to another young quarterback with swagger, fire, and a famous last name to rewrite history. But this time, something feels different. This time, the kid isn't chasing headlines. He's ignoring them. This time, he's not talking. He's waiting. And when his moment comes, when he finally jogs out under those blinding lights and takes that first snap, all the noise, all the politics, all the dysfunction will vanish behind the sound of a football cutting through cold Ohio air. Because that's what talent does. It silences everything. For Kevin Stefanski, this might be the end of one story. But for Shedeur Sanders, it's the first page of another. One built not on hype, but on the strange, poetic power of chaos. Because sometimes in sports, the most beautiful transformations come from the ugliest implosions. Sometimes, the only way for a franchise to evolve is to burn. And if you look closely at Cleveland right now, the smoke, the uncertainty, the whispers of revolution, you can see it. The fire is already lit. The old guard is gone. The new era isn't coming. It's here. So maybe, just maybe, this isn't the Browns falling apart again. Maybe it's them finally shedding the weight of their past, the safe choices, the fear of failure. Maybe this time they're betting everything on brilliance. Messy, unpredictable, brilliant chaos. Because in a league built on control, it's the wild ones who rewrite the rules. And Shedeur Sanders might just be the wildest one of them all. The war is over, the throne is empty, and Cleveland, for better or worse, is about to find out what happens when the future refuses to wait.